Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from Mother's Basement, and today we are checking out the Harry Potter Eugenics Harem anime, Maburaho. From his thumbnail, it said it was a roast of this anime, and I like the roasts. I really like the two videos he did about the cult that do the anime, and apparently he's working on part 3 of that. Let's just get straight into this, shall we?
You may have some questions regarding the subject.
Maburaho.
Firstly, what? And trust me, we'll get.
I have no idea what this is, by the way.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? With all the great anime this year and last that I could
Everyone's loving Ranking of Kings. I really need to get into it, man.
For that matter, have I chosen to cover the most crusty, cookie-cutter mid-2000s harem anime that nobody's ever heard of?
Ah.
Two reasons.
Okay.
The first is academic. To a scholar of harem history like myself,
Of course.
Maburaho represents one of the earliest successful attempts to distill the original story concepts seen in Love Hina, Tokiyaki Memorial, Ranma, and Tenchi Muyo.
Ooh, I loved Tenchi Muyo, man. It was so good at the time.
Gotta bang 'em all marketing.
Yay!
Where characters
Gotta
with
bang 'em all.
personalities gave way to copy-pasted gimmick dairies distinguished primarily by their hairstyles, and the concept of a joke followed by a punchline was likewise replaced by an accidental boob touch.
Oh no,
followed by
that happens
a punch,
so
or
much.
sometimes an explosion.
Whoa!
Thus, by roasting Maburaho, I can effectively roast every pre-isekai harem anime at the same time. But
Yeah.
really, that's just an excuse to cover for my second reason, which is spite. Pure, unadulterated spite.
Oh mate,
See,
did you watch it
I
and hate it?
discovered Maburaho back in the anime Dark Ages, long before simulcasts, when the only way a Canadian kid could watch anime that wasn't on TV or at Blockbuster was to buy a very overpriced DVD or box set from
God.
one of the few stores that even stocked it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but something about this here yellow box set caught my eye on a shelf at Indigo
What
Books
could it have
one
been?
day, and having read a positive sounding preview in Anime Insider magazine,
Okay.
I decided to give it a shot. In the process, I learned a valuable lesson about why you should never trust previews. But having already spent 80
'Cause they always put the-
allowance bucks on this crap, I wasn't about to just not watch it.
yeah.
I mean, it's bad, but it's not Final Fantasy Unlimited bad. I couldn't even get past the first disc of this shit.
I haven't watched any of
We
that.
can talk about that another trash day. Point is, I allowed Maburaho to waste not just a significant chunk of my money, but a significant chunk of my time on this
So make
earth,
that
which
time back.
I'm increasingly aware with every passing day I will never get back.
Hmm.
The money, though, can be recouped with the help of Google AdSense and a Bookwalker sponsorship. So today I'm going to waste a little bit more of my time, one last time, to share my pain with all of you.
Cool.
Kazuki Shikimori, or Kazuki Shikimori, or Kazuki Shikimori, or look, it's an early 2000s ADV dub. They pronounce it a lot of ways.
Right, differently all the time. Oh god, that's annoying.
Seen here spouting the early 2000s equivalent of Kirito
Sporting.
hair and zero other identifiable features is an ordinary guy in an extraordinary world that looks a lot like ours, except that every human there is born with the ability to cast magic a set number of times in their lifetime.
Oh.
Once you cast your last spell, however, your body instantly crumbles to ash, so that number's
What?
pretty darn important.
Yeah.
It effectively determines a person's standing in society, with the most powerful magical families also holding
That's a scary
dominion over
thought.
business and government. The average person gets a few dozen spells in their lifetime, while students at the prestigious
Of course, they
Aoi
can use
Academy and
loads.
the graduates who go on to be business
Interesting
leaders,
ranking
politicians,
concepts.
have spell counts in the tens of thousands.
Right.
Kazuki's is 8, and he's so insecure about that that he
Aww.
runs away from school physicals.
Don't make
Wonder
me
if the
use
guy
my
who wrote this
magic.
owns a big car. Anyway, despite that, Kazuki did get into the aforementioned elite magic
Why?
academy
How?
that trains
Okay.
all the business folk and bureaucrats in the world, all thanks to his wise teachers who understand that sometimes it's what's inside
That counts.
Specifically, what's
God.
inside his balls.
What?
As it turns out, Kazuki can trace his lineage back to pretty much every great magician in the history of East Asia, not to mention all of the great mages of Europe through his Polish grandmother.
Right.
And while the little guy's magic may not be all that potent, his little guys are as potent as they come. Every time he makes Shinzo Abe proud, Kazuki's loins are all but guaranteed to to spawn
Oh
one
my
of the
God,
most
what?
powerful designer
What?
baby sorcerers in history.
No.
So naturally, 3 of the biggest magic syndicates in Japan have all sent their moeest daughters to take his hand,
Oh,
first
God.
over their bodies
So
in a
they're
series
all
of
like,
absurd accidents,
impregnate
and
me!
eventually in marriage. To my knowledge, this is the first time a harem anime ever chose to answer the eternal harem question of, but why would all of these unfathomably hot ladies be
Yeah, at
choosing
least
for that
he's got a
human
reason that they're
oatmeal
after it, yeah.
Because Eugenics.
Yes.
It would not be the last. And rest assured, that is far from the only horrifying thing about
No.
this anime.
Oh no!
On that note, let's talk about them waifus.
Yay!
Maburaho's core cast will be instantly recognizable to anyone with my specific mental problems as a textbook example of the standard harem template. You got the childhood friend, pink variant,
Okay,
who
cool.
is vocally obsessed with our protagonist from the start of the story and gets violently jealous when other girls hit on him.
Run
The quiet,
away.
intense one, purple variant, who wants to
Yeah, like, I'm sure
violence
Tenchi
and get this
Miura had
stupid,
these 3.
worthless man out of her hair until she eventually falls for him, and the horny one, blonde variant, who is horny.
Blonde variant.
New waifus are added every arc or so to keep the audience engaged in the exact same way Pokemon does for small children.
Right.
These Gen 2 waifus include childhood friend brown variant, who is secretly obsessed with the protagonist from the start of the story and tries to play it cool when other girls hit on him. The broody, insane one, black variant, who shows up to make some plot and a mediocre action scene happen once per episode in
Right.
the exact same way Team Rocket does in Pokemon.
Oh god.
And an actual
Constant Pokemon.
literal
Oh no,
child,
no.
blonde variant,
No.
who shows up in the last 30 seconds of the show to declare that she will also marry the protagonist, whom she actually literally just met. And rest assured, that is far from the only horrifying
No.
thing about the end of this anime, but we'll get to that when we get to
Okay.
it. Of course, there is more to all of these girls than the molds they so cleanly fit into.
Is there?
Not a lot more,
No.
but what more there is
Jesus.
sure is a fucking lot. Like, when I said that the pink one, Yuna Miyama, is obsessed with Kazuki,
Yeah.
I mean that she breaks into his dorm room and declares herself to be his wife, and that is how he's introduced to her.
Oh,
well, outside of their
Jesus.
one shared childhood friend memory, hazy forgotten variant, of course, wherein he met her on a bridge when she was sad because her dad had to move for work, and she wanted to see snow, so he used one of his spells that will literally kill him when they run out to make it snow in summer for her, and then she promised to marry him.
Oh, God.
By the way, I may have slightly fudged the lore for the sake of wordplay earlier. Despite not having much of it, Kazuki's magic is, in fact, extremely potent.
Right,
Like,
really, really
potent
powerful.
enough to destroy the entire planet, according to the show's designated guy who knows everything.
Oh,
Basically,
Jesus.
he's got 8 Dragon Ball wishes stored
Ah,
inside
right, okay, so he
him.
could
Or
potentially, like, do the
literally
most powerful
anything
thing
he
8
wants.
times.
And if you thought Goku and his buddies squandered that opportunity,
Panthers!
you've seen nothing yet. Now, you might think this past connection justifies Yuna's very,
Obsessive,
forward approach to
yeah.
wooing Kazuki. And yeah, the revelation does make her seem a little less insane, relatively
Than initial,
speaking,
yeah.
for a while. But as she gets closer to him, she also gets more possessive. Really seems like a gross
Oh
understatement.
no, no.
Let me put it this way. By the end of the show, seeing Kazuki say good morning to their dorm manager is enough to send Yuna into a literally...
You can't talk to other girls!
It's helpful to think of her
Jesus.
less like a full human character in her own right, and more like a cute anime mascot that occasionally does violence for laughs.
Right.
Specifically, a Pikachu, because a good half of the episodic villain plots are just ploys to separate her and Kazuki, and also she knows Thundershock.
Ah,
Next up,
Oh,
Ranger
wow.
Ichiro, the quiet, intense
who
purple
just
one,
carries a
is
sword
the
around.
opposite of Yuna,
Ah.
in that she starts out hating Kazuki, and that's why she wants to kill him. Rin definitely acts the craziest out of the 3
Yeah.
girls at first, what with that big katana.
Just
she's
wielding a
always
sword
swinging
everywhere,
all
like,
over the
what?
place. But she does come from a very strict, controlled controlling traditional family, and she's already got a crush on a different senpai, so it is a bit more understandable for her to be reacting the way that she does to what's essentially an arranged marriage that's going to determine the course of the rest of her life. And
I
she
see.
does tone it down in just a few episodes, right after she catches feelings for Kazuki. In other words, Rin is probably the least dangerous one of these waifus.
Even though she carries a sword everywhere.
She spends the first few episodes literally trying to stab our hero. Also, she's a racist.
They are being punished for switching to Western magic. They are getting just what they deserve.
Which is a pretty bad character trait.
Whoa.
In most
Whoa.
shows, cement her as worst girl, except for the fact that the blonde one, Kuriko Kazetsubaki, is one of the few words in the English language worse than a racist, and also just one letter off from it.
It'll all be over soon, so just be quiet, okay, little boy?
Stop it! I'll call for
It's
help!
supposed to be the girl's line. That's fine. It'll feel good soon, so relax.
Kuriko's personality is that she's rich and also
Jesus.
Did I mention rich?
Jesus.
Also big boobs. And her character develops in such a way that eventually Kazuki no longer needs external help to stop her from trying to violate him on good days. Her job within the anime's narrative, aside from filling the jiggle physics quota, of course, is to show up and make some plot and a mediocre action scene happen once per episode, like Team Rocket. before they
A lot of
hire
Pokemon
that other girl
references.
at the back half. So, all things considered, Kazuki's romantic prospects ain't the best. But at least he's got friends, right?
Has he?
Yeah, about that. Everyone in his class is a sociopath. When Yuna first
Yeah.
introduces herself to the class as Kazuki's wife, all the boys immediately start trying to lynch him for getting with a pretty girl,
Oh.
and then they get even more murdery when all the other waifus start clinging to him.
Oh, God.
After, which is pretty bizarre behavior already, but at least that's like an established trope of the harem genre.
Yeah, yeah.
When the school doctor explains the whole magic eugenics situation to the class, the girls start getting mad too, only they're mad at Yuna because it's unfair of her to, quote, monopolize Kazuki's precious...
Oh my God, leave the boy alone.
Next episode,
Jesus.
the whole class puts him on trial
What?
and declares that they will not recognize his marriage to Yuna, and also it's illegal for them to date or even talk to each other, which is, that's not how people
This is
act.
ridiculous.
Also,
Oh
the
my
guy who
God.
wrote this, I don't
Yeah.
know if you've ever talked to a teenage girl before, definitely do not start now, but you know that nobody wants to get teen pregnant, right? In terms of character designs, Kazuki's classmates collectively represent
Jesus.
the full spectrum of early 2000s anime archetypes. Their class lineup looks more like the cover of a how-to-draw manga book than a light novel
Oh,
illustration.
God, yeah.
But as far as characterization goes, they're all pretty much the exact same greedy, spiteful, shitty person.
They're all
with a
bad
different haircut
people.
and maybe a gimmick if they're lucky. The girls all want Kazuki's genes inside of them. The guys all want to get inside of Yuna's gene. God damn it, she only wears skirts. I can't make that pun.
Oh.
But above all, every member of Class 2B is driven by a simple desire for cold, hard cash.
Cash, money,
Especially the
cash,
two
money,
class
money, money, money.
ringleaders, Matsuda on the girls' side and Nakamaru on the boys', whose job is to show up once an episode and cause a plot and mediocre action scene to happen if the characters
Oh,
who
no.
fill that role are unavailable. Otherwise, they and the rest
We
of the
walked
class
in on the
simply
girls while they were
provide
changing.
comic
Ha 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 ha.
relief with their crazy get-rich-quick schemes. And they get away with pretty much every scheme because their teacher, best girl by default, Kaori Iba,
Yeah.
simply does not give a
She don't
single
care.
shit
Right,
about
fair dues.
what they do. Her character essentially boils down to one gag, but it's a really damn good gag. Namely, what if the person secretly playing Game Boy in class was the teacher? Wait, my mistake, that's actually a Wonder Swan color.
That's actually quite funny.
Also,
I like that.
and she's a vampire.
What?
And as the anime's
What?
designated guy who
What?
knows everything, school doctor Haruaki Akai, of course, recognizes Iba Sensei's undisputed best girl status, which is why he's constantly committing HR violations at her.
Yo, Miss Eva. The beds in the nurse's office are open. How about coming by on your break?
No, thank you.
Oh my God.
This kind of weather is really nice.
Jesus, man, leave it alone. Take her out for a drink first.
His job
Ask her out to go for a meal. Go see a film. Just my bed, the bed. Beds. Oh, there's beds.
He can make some plot and a mediocre action scene happen like Team Rocket. And he does this mainly by being
There should be a drinking game for this video. For every time it says Team Rocket, do a drink.
The history of anime. Like this one time, he gets a bottle of what is essentially magic smallpox in the mail.
Okay.
And he just leaves it unattended on his desk in the nurse's office on a day when he knows Yuna is coming to collect a bottle of potion that he was also supposed to get in the mail from the same return address. Now, it might seem like I've just spent an inordinate amount of time telling you all about Maburaho's characters without really covering any of its story. That's only because it doesn't really
Have one? Right. I was wondering, it's like, what is the actual, like, what's actually going on?
Character archetypes and a handful of easily repeatable jokes and fan service setups, all of which can be mixed and matched in pretty much any which way you want until you have 20 minutes of vaguely watchable television. Story never enters into it. Typically, an episode will start with Yuna and Kazuki hanging out, though he could also be hanging with Kuriko or Rin. Then, within a few minutes, the other two will show up out of nowhere to either fight or also hang out with them. Then the, quote, comedy, unquote, ensues with a variety of
Jesus,
such
I didn't know what I was going to see then.
touches a lady, and a lady touches Kazuki, but always the same punchline, which is violence. Eventually, those shenanigans are interrupted when this week's designated plot causer appears to make a plot happen, and then our heroes use their do-anything magic to solve it in a mediocre action scene.
Right.
The supporting cast members and waifu of the week may change, but this basic episode outline remains constant through most of the series. Now, to be clear, there's nothing inherently wrong with formulaic writing in and of itself. Many of the greatest works in animation history are built on formulas. Just look at the Looney Tunes. But whether it's a harem comedy, a chase cartoon, or a Phineas and Ferb episode, when you utilize an established formula, you need to recognize that your audience is guaranteed to see your jokes coming. Thus, in order to get a laugh, you need to surprise them, either by subverting the gag or by putting
expectations.
a unique creative spin on it. Maburaho was a moderately passable harem comedy back in 2003 when the formula was still relatively fresh, but the older it's gotten, the more anime have done the exact
same thing.
it does,
Jesus.
only better. In fact,
Okay.
Maburaho was rendered totally obsolete as a piece of entertainment as early as 2005 because that's when Aoki, the man who would go on to create Three Creators, id Invaded, and Fate Zero, decided to make his directorial debut with the most harem anime ever, Girls Bravo. If you were to judge these two series solely by their covers,
And he did Fate
I'd
Zero.
honestly be impressed
Crazy.
if you could even tell
Crazy.
them apart. And the original Girls Bravo manga isn't really all that remarkable. It's just another cookie-cutter harem story that most directors would have half-assed for a quick buck the way they did with Maburaho. But Aoki is not most directors. He never brings anything less than his entire ass to a project, even a doomed one like Alt Noah Zero, and he took that Girls Bravo adaptation to a whole other level. To show you what I mean, here's how Maburaho approaches a standard harem gag template of tense situation. Girls make a thing explode, protagonists get hurt.
I am Kazuki's true wife, and I will protect him!
All told, a functional joke.
Yeah.
The timing works, and the animation is decent, even if it's a gag you've seen a dozen times before. But now, compare that to this.
You're about to become entirely mine! It's nice again today. What's going on? An explosion from a big firecracker. Yukinari!
Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Aoki knows that when you work with material like this, you either go big
Or go home.
Girls
That
Bravo
was funny.
goes big. Maburaho puts in the bare minimum and hopes you'll stick around for the sexy eye patches.
Oh god.
That said, Maburaho anime does at least know how to create the illusion of an overarching story by adding a new trope or two to the formula rotation every 6 or 7 episodes, and using Kazuki's magic level as a countdown of sorts to its mid-season 2-parter, in which he sacrifices the last of his magic charges to save Yuna from the
Where have I've seen clips of this before. Has like Giggle or someone talked about this video before? This anime.
I thought you said it didn't have a story. The main character dying is clearly story. That's so much.
Yeah, that's a lot of story. Yeah, I'm seeing these clips somewhere.
But no. In regards to how it actually affects the direction of a typical Maburaho episode, the only meaningful difference that being dead has on Kazuki's character is it gives him something new to whine about, and now Kuriko needs magic, but still not consent, to jump him like a poorly trained dog. In the first half of the series, Kazuki starts out whining about having no magic and too many bitches, and he gradually loosens up and starts having fun while said bitches are busy figuring out how to increase his spell count. Then a sad, gray episode hits out of nowhere like Lost.jpg in the middle of a webcomic binge, and he dies. In the second half of the series, Kazuki starts off whining about being dead and not being able to touch his bitches, then gradually loosens up a bit and starts having fun while said bitches figure out how to get his body back. Then a sad, gray episode hits out of nowhere like Lost.jpg in the middle of a webcomic binge, and then it takes a sharp turn into the realm of existential horror.
Oh god, what?
Again, getting ahead of myself.
Right.
And in case you were thinking, okay, well, there's gotta at least be some story to why Kazuki uses up his magic, you would be, again, wrong. His reasons for literally killing himself in the space of a few weeks by burning through 8 charges of literally god-tier power range from, I hurt a girl's feelings and don't know how to use my words, so I'ma just mess with the forces of nature instead.
Oh my
to,
god.
A girl dropped the bento box she worked
No,
really hard on,
I gotta
so
fix it. Oh no, couldn't you got anybody else to just do that?
Cronies are also responsible for him burning through 2 spells with their dumbass schemes when Kazuki has to blast away a city-killing monster.
Oh god, okay, well that's understandable.
So they could sell it on the black market. And in a later episode, he has to destroy a big, man-eating slime monster that his classmates summoned into brunette.
I get that one as well, I can understand that one, that's...
As just a prank bro on their class, who they considered to be rivals because they get good grades. When I called them all sociopaths, I really meant
Yeah, you did,
There's
Jesus.
no real storytelling going on here. No sense that anything that happens is connected through consistent characterization or even basic causality. It's just a bunch of random stuff happening until the episode and then show are eventually over. I would genuinely not be surprised if someone told me the whole anime was outlined in Mad Libs. Take episode 3, for example. In it, Kazuki's daily home invasion life with Yuna is interrupted when another uninvited guest moves in with them.
No
or should
way.
I say, an uninvited ghost.
A ghost.
Like a spooky ghost!
Said ghost is named Elizabeth. And
What is going on with this show? This is crazy. There's so much going
she
on.
decided to unlive in Kazuki's dorm completely at random, and now refuses to leave unless they either get her house back, which proves to be impossible since this week's designated plot causer Kuriko is the realtor and Kazuki refuses to trade sex for a house with her, or they have to recover a suit of armor from the Holy Roman Empire that Elizabeth left in the house. But then, as they're going to get the armor, Kuriko has
My brain.
the entire house with her sword about 0.2 seconds before they arrive, so of course the ghost gets mad and sucks Yuna into a very early stock digital animation effect where she tickles her, but from the outside that sounds like torture to Kazuki, so in a panic he uses his magic to rip open the pocket dimension and save Yuna, and then also for some reason that causes the boys and girls dorms to fuse into one building, and now his room connects directly to Yuna's. Then Kuriko comes to dig the ghost out of the rubble, and instead of getting mad at her, Elizabeth decides to start calling her mommy and living inside her cleavage because by an astounding coincidence, her real Holy Roman Empire mom was actually a dead ringer for the blonde billionaire sex pest. As another example,
What?
Jesus! fancy hot spring so she can assault him again, but
Oh
also
my
the
God.
waters there apparently have the power to increase someone's spell count. But
Yay!
they learn when they arrive that that's only if the person can keep their head submerged under the water for 2 straight years.
Oh.
Obviously, Kazuki's not going to do that,
No.
but the spring has another secret lurking beneath its waters. Baseball
What?
zombies, who, if you beat them, you can get like a bazillion spells. But then, if you lose, everyone
What?
on your team goes to hell.
What the f-
Despite the danger,
What?
Rin and
What?
Nina, who have
I'm so confused.
successfully stalked Kazuki by this point,
Zombie
join the
baseball
along
team.
with their teacher, who Kuriko bribes with a rare video game. But then, at the bottom of the ninth with the bases loaded, Kazuki has to use magic to throw the ball home, but he makes his throw too fast and powerful, so the baseball diamond explodes, because most of the punchlines in this show
Are explosions, so I'm
And
getting the gist of that.
zombies declare that the game is a draw, meaning that he only gets 1 spell back as a consolation prize, thus making the whole exercise filler. And
Wow.
that's probably the most
Wow.
entertaining episode of the whole show, though about 40% of that entertainment value comes from this one animation.
What the
Let me tell you, early digital anime was the wild.
Down there and scorch all over to your room.
After Kazuki's abrad his last cadabra,
amazing.
Maburaho does briefly
Oh my
threaten to
God.
become a more interesting anime with the introduction of Shino, a crazy hot and also just plain crazy ghost collector who wants to steal our hero's soul.
Ah.
A recurring villain can do a lot to give a meandering plot a bit of much-needed direction, but by the second time she tricks Kazuki into coming to a place alone with her, and then tries to put his soul in a bird cage, and then Yuna bursts in and thinks he's cheating on her and tries to double murder him for that, and then she tricks him to coming to another place later and does
Oh
the
my
same thing again,
God.
which is the second episode Shino's in. It becomes clear that she's nothing more than another expansion patch for the formula.
Yeah, seems it,
Also,
yeah.
at the end of that second episode, we learn that she's Dr. Akai's sister, and
Ah.
so, because he knows that she's trying to kidnap
'Cause
one
he
of his
knows
students,
everything.
he, of course, gives her a job at the school.
Oh,
now, it does all work out in the end as she Green Rangers her way into Kazuki's
Ah,
room
okay,
and
cool,
starts
cool, cool.
inviting him to bang her in
I
the
like
nurse's
that.
office instead of trying to kidnap him. But all that really means is that she's 2 different kinds of never let this person within 100 feet of a school. With a ghost expert around, it should be pretty clear what direction the story's going to go from here. The Harem wants Kazuki's body back. Shino knows how to do that, but won't tell because she wants him extra ghosty, so they gotta figure it out without her help,
yeah.
and do it while she tries to stop them. And all of that does happen in a general sense.
Right, yeah,
but
but-
you gotta remember, Maburaho is not a story. It's a formulaic weekly waifu delivery
Right.
system. So before it can get to that, it's got to do an episode where Kazuki and Rin have to fight her adopted older brother / martial arts
Of course,
sensei,
yeah.
who is also a werewolf, and then he dies fighting them, and his soul goes to the moon. The next episode is about the Holy Roman Empire
What?
ghost child being suspicious
What?
because Kuriko put a talisman on her chest to stop all the ghost fondling that was going
Oh,
on.
no.
So she pulls the whole gang in to stalk her adopted mom while she goes on a date with a guy and then agrees to marry him, but it turns out he's actually a con artist, and then when they try to warn her about that, she gets mad at them because she was actually helping the cops do an undercover sting on that guy, which they should have known about even though she didn't tell them because obviously...
My brain hurts every time he
Hey,
explains like a
wait second.
plot from an
If
episode.
there are police in this world, then how come Dr. Akai, after that first episode where it's revealed that
Just don't
Nakamaru
go.
was actually the real boy who jizzed all along, so the entire class decides to make him their eugenics king, and he starts plotting to conquer the world while Kazuki goes off to mope in a corner because this means he's really worthless now. But then his hero
No.
shows up to reassure him that they've totally fallen in love with the void where his personality should be, as if that wasn't obvious enough from how they all
Yeah.
didn't fuck off the second his little ghosts got ghosted. And in the end, it turns out that the whole Nakamaru thing was just an elaborate lie Shino cooked up to trick Kazuki into double killing himself, so it's a moot point anyway.
Wow.
Right after that,
Wow.
the class goes on a trip to Kyoto, where Yuna and Kazuki see one of their classmates being attacked by ninjas, whom she fights off with her crazy martial arts skills, which she has because it turns out she's part of a rival clan to Rin's family, who've been in a blood feud with them for generations over whether punches are better than swords.
Oh.
Naturally,
What?
Nakamaru and
Jesus, imagine.
Imagine
arguing about that for, like, years.
Some sort of Yakuza person to set up a fight between Rin and Sayumi that everyone bets on using chocolate, and also Sayumi is blackmailed into doing it because she's got these old poems she wrote that are really embarrassing. And the fight actually looks pretty cool for a minute.
Oh, wow.
Then the animators just sort of give up halfway through and finish it with
No, that did look really good for a second there.
riot that ensues when the two of them are beaten in that foot race by some monks as part of a recurring gag. Kazuki and his harem randomly bump into brown-haired childhood friend who moved to Kyoto after her episode was done, and then all four girls, to quote Wikipedia, suddenly became horny and get dragged toward Kazuki. And that random coincidence at the end of a totally unrelated comedy episode is how they figure out how to get his body back. That is, after an episode spent going on timeshare dates with Kazuki around Kyoto, because they only became horny when all five of them are together.
Oh my
Shino uses
God.
this situation to get Kazuki alone and try to capture him again, but Yuna and other childhood friends dive into the ghost screensaver after him, and
Ghost
as they're reaching
screensaver.
out to him, his ashes, which it turns out were stuck to them all along, and that's what made them horny, start flowing back,
Oh my
making
God,
him
what?
solid. And from this, they intuit that Rin and Kuriko must have the rest of the ashes. So, of course,
This is so
after
bizarre.
a show episode
What?
of the manager delivering Yuna's lunch to her at school, the gang gets to work restoring the ashes. To do this, both Rin and Kuriko need to completely synchronize with Kazuki's heart, which, in practical terms, means that each of the girls has to trigger one dating sim event. For Kuriko, this entails going to a fancy dress party and learning to be more honest with her feelings after trying to get Kazuki lynched a couple times. And for Rin, it involves Kazuki just sort of standing in a forest clearing, swinging her sword up and down for hours on end as he waits for her to figure out whether or not it's even worth it to restore his ashes, because Shino told her at the last second that if she does, he's going to lose his memory when his body comes back.
No.
You will note
No.
this is the same last-minute complication that Fena Pirate Princess pulled out of its ass, and surprisingly, Maburaho does slightly more with it than that show, though not nearly enough to justify stretching its finale into a two-parter. In the first part,
clever.
right after Rin
Very clever.
loses his ashes, Kazuki gets sick because not all of them have been returned after all, and his incomplete body and soul are rejecting
But
each
where's
other,
the rest?
meaning he'll disappear forever if they can't find the rest of the ashes or remove the ones that he has and make him a ghost forever. We learn through a dive into Kazuki's memories that Yuna and childhood friend B actually have a shared ash pool, because the obligatory twist in his childhood friend memory is that he actually promised both of them he'd make it snow in summer, like a little 6-year-old fuckboy. So, in order to restore
nice.
the last of his ashes, both of their hearts need to be synchronized at the same time. But childhood
course.
friend B, who's long distance from Kazuki now and thus only has those memories connecting her to him, understandably doesn't wanna and runs away.
No.
Now, in a good anime, this would be resolved with them having some sort of heart-to-heart and getting to the real root of their feelings, but these characters and their connections to each other and Kazuki are all paper-thin, so instead of that, they mostly just throw disconnected Sakuga cuts at each other until she changes her mind. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, hey, Jeff, I get it. You don't like the show. It ruined your childhood.
It ruined your
You gotta be
childhood.
fair. That's a pretty good fight for a harem anime. You gotta give them that. But I don't, because it's not. This is.
Oh, mate, this scene's sick. This scene is so... what is this from?
Also, every episode of Girls Bravo starts with a shower scene. You should
Yay!
watch that anime
Girls Bravo.
instead
Let's
of
write
this
that
one.
down, people.
Honestly, I wanted to just make a video recommending that instead of going through all this, but trust me, it would have been demonetized faster than you can say they put a giant demon octopus in the body-swapping pool episode. Okay, I guess I can't put off talking about
God.
that Maburaho ending any longer. So, after Kazuki gets his body back, it turns out he doesn't lose his memories because his magic's just that strong.
Ah.
But it's so that strong that when he comes back, there's a slight complication where there's 10 of him now, which at the time that this was written may have seemed like a tidy little solution to the whole harem anime dilemma, but I've seen My Hero Academia. I know the existence
Yeah, that's gonna mess his head up.
twice. This shit is gonna break Protag Kun's
Oh, God.
entire brain
Yep.
in a matter of weeks. And that's not even the scary
Am I the
part.
real one?
No, that would be Yuna, who is so psychotically controlling and possessive that she will not settle for anything less than a total 24/7 monopoly on all 10 Kazukis, which is only going to accelerate his twicification and probably lead to some sort of horrific death match
God.
between all of his clones over which one of
He's
them
the real
gets to
one.
be with her.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably not where it actually goes in the light novels. He probably just complains about being 10 different guys for a few chapters,
Yeah.
then gets used to it and starts enjoying
Just
himself while the girls
bangs all
try
the
to figure out
girls.
how to fix him again, and then a sad gray chapter comes out of nowhere like Lost.jpg in the middle of a webcomic binge, and he gets a new magical malady but starts being one guy again. Wash, rinse, repeat until
yeah.
the money stops coming. But this is where the anime stops, and I didn't know about the light novels when I first got this DVD, so I've spent way too much time thinking through the implications of this ending, and they haunt me to this day.
It's quite funny that you've approached that with the My Hero Academia thing that happens with twice.
Eugenics and abuse and assault and horny crimes and all that other crap. And this animation.
That's dead funny. That's dead
It's
funny.
worth it, though, because by using the tools that I've equipped you with in this video, you'll be able to watch any 2000s era harem anime and instantly recognize a lot of tropes and stuff.
Yes.
And I don't know, maybe
been
you'll appreciate
educational.
better written harems more and possibly watch Girls Bravo and
Maybe.
one thing I took
Maybe.
away from this rewatch is that mediocre anime from the mid-2000s are actually a bit higher in average quality than mediocre anime today. Despite its often fugly line art, Maburaho does at least feature interesting storyboards with multiple characters
Does
in
look good.
frame doing stuff other than talking to each other through repetitive shot, reverse shot editing, but I don't know how much your typical anime watcher is actually going to care about
Yeah.
technical details like that, so yeah, I guess I kind of just wasted a whole bunch of your time.
Pretty much.
Just like this show wasted mine. Misery loves company, bitches. I'm Jeff Thu, professional wizard teacher, signing out from the horrifyingly unsafe situation I just put my students in.
Damn. That was... That blew my brain. Every time he explained an episode, it was like, what? That was crazy. Makes me want to watch it. That Girls Bravo sounds good though. I like that. Nothing to do with there being shower scenes at the opening and that. No, that's not the main selling point there. But yeah, that was dead funny. I'm glad I checked that out. And thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video I upload, links in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month is all I ask to support the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys for that. And thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys next time.